Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast with your hosts Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Divert your phone and grab a brew as Waz and Nic unpack tips, tales, secrets and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside your trade, helping educate and inspire you to break the cycle of gut-busting and money stress and create a true trade business.
Well, good morning and happy freaking Monday to you, the boss lady.
I wanted to do that. Good morning, Vietnam. How fun would that be?
Good morning. Yeah. Imagine doing that every day. I think radio people, and I can say this because this is Tradies in Business Radio.
We're going back there again.
Just for today. I think we probably smoke our own fumes a bit.
Yeah, no doubt.
Us broadcasters.
We kind of have to.
Yeah. And I listen occasionally, very infrequently, actually, to radio jocks.
Mm.
And, yeah, it's... I'm thinking that whatever I say about them, I'm saying about me.
Yes, you
and
are.
I think, you know what? I was just going to say it is, man, we talk some shit sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
And we think we're funny and we think we're informed and intelligent and we think we know what's going on out in the world. And I'm not sure that we all do.
I have no doubt that we don't. But I guess we connect with the right kind of listener because they're all here to hear whatever said opinion is or whatever said humour might be. So it obviously works for some people, otherwise they wouldn't listen, right?
Absolutely. And that is why, Coxie, although I've called you the boss lady today, on our little recording cloud service here, I get to name you every day that I send you the link to do our recording sessions.
And that's where Coxie came from.
Yes, and I'm trying to come up with something new and increasingly stupid every time I do.
We should keep a tally of these, actually. They're pretty funny.
So I've lost my train of thought. But anyway, being informed. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna get in early with our give us a review, gang. Now, I did check this morning and there's no new one, so I'm very disappointed and I'm depressed.
Oh, that is depressing.
And I'm going to need to drink an extra 3 cups of coffee. Coffee?
That's a lot of coffee.
Today.
That's a lot of extra coffee.
Well, that's only like 1% of my normal intake. But Bob Hawke's back.
He is?
So please give us a review. Go to iTunes, help other tradies find us smoking our own fumes and thinking we know what we're talking about, because clearly you do, because you're still listening to this. So there, who's the silly one now, hey?
Well, you have to wonder.
Just offend all of our listeners straight up, man. That's perfect strategy to grow the podcast. But you can help another tradie. There was an awesome conversation this morning in one of our drawing board groups, actually, about one of our clients, one of our drawing board members, has been collaborating deliberately with other local trades and suppliers instead of some of those nasty, massive, big companies that don't seem to really give a toss about us. That
we won't name, because maybe one day we might like to work with them.
We might like some of their money or some of their database. But in reality, every time I log into my internet banking, I really want to be able to remove the bullshit message at the top of the screen. It's like, we're with you. We're supporting our customers through COVID-19. And every time I read it, I think, no, you're not.
No.
You're not doing shit all
no,
to
we're
support
just
your
making
customers,
sure
actually.
They're just making sure they've got business. That's it. It's the end of the day. Short and concise. Same with all the big conglomerations.
That's fine, because that's what they exist for. But don't say stuff that's not true, like, we're helping our customers and here's our support package. You know what their support package is? They're staying open. It's like, how the fuck is that supporting anybody? Oh, by the way, today's episode is explicit, so if you've got kids listening.
Sorry.
There it is. There's the F. You should have looked at the thing and seen the little E for explicit. But anyway, I digress. So one of our members working with a local supplier their default was to go to a very large company in their industry and buy stuff from them to do a little competition with. But instead, they had the brain grenade go off and thought, oh, what about our local supplier? And they were going to buy some gift vouchers, basically, to run a competition and a social media promotion. And when they actually went and approached the local company and said, hey, can we buy some gift vouchers from you to run a promotion? The local company said, we'll just give them to you because, it's good marketing and exposure for both of us. Fancy that.
I know, right?
Fancy that, listeners. So if you haven't thought about approaching some of your local complementary trades or suppliers and saying, hey, we're doing a bit of social media stuff, there might be an opportunity for us to work together in some way. Maybe you've got some gear we can use or promote. You guys want to be part of that? I think you might be surprised at how open people are about this stuff at the moment.
Well, especially at the moment when we're all looking for different opportunities to branch out to a wider audience. But I think ordinarily even, this happens in lots of other professions, we should be thinking about how we can do it in our own trade businesses as well. I don't think it needs to be just now. Keep having those kind of conversations.
Oh, totally. I think this opens the door permanently to something that probably happened a lot more prior to, I don't know, when things started to end up like they ended up pre-COVID. But, that whole local focus and collaboration spirit and all that seemed to disappear a fair bit in the last 10 or 15 years.
It's really interesting you say that. You've given me a reflection about, you were talking about driveway service and how it disappeared.
Yeah.
What was that, 20, 25 years ago, I'd say? It disappeared. But that's about the time that everything started to change. Our supermarket experience, Bunnings, how old would they be? Maybe 12, 15 years old now? They've been around for?
I can't remember when they launched that brand.
All those big box type stores, when they started appearing, the personalisation from our experiences started to disappear. And I feel at the moment, with all this time at home with my family and only going out when absolutely necessary and restricting most parts of my life, I kind of feel like this is what I remember life to be like as a child. There wasn't opportunity for the mass consumerism. There wasn't opportunity for big, going to the beach was a big day out, even though it was only 45 minutes up the road. But it was a big drive. It was a big day. You had a picnic. It was really exciting. If you're lucky, you might have got an ice block. Just the innocence of those times that we now take for granted I see a real shift at the moment. I feel in Queensland, for example, as of Friday night, Saturday morning, we'll be able to go out again within a 50k radius. We can go visit, for example, my dad will come up for lunch on Sunday, or we can go to a park and have a picnic, or we can go to the beach again. That's going to be so exciting. And I can't remember the last time I felt excited about those things. They just became part of what you do. Sometimes it was almost like a chore. Come on, we'll take the kids to the beach for the weekend or for the day even. Yeah. It became a real chore, another thing to do, rather than going and actually really appreciating the whole experience of going to the beach. I feel very much like right now in this moment, it's like when I was a child, but I wonder how quickly that changes as we start to lessen the restrictions again. Do we fall back into the same patterns we've always had, or do we continue to observe some of these behaviours that maybe we didn't really enjoy?
Yeah, that'll be interesting, as you say, to see if this is like a ratchet or like a slippery slide.
Yes.
We slide back to where we were, or if the changes actually ratchet into place and stay there. I'd like to see a lot of the changes stay.
I would too.
Because I think we all have a bit of the luxury, and I know you had something you wanted to talk about today, Coxie, and I've probably railroaded this into not covering that, but I'm pretty sure I could set you off pretty easily. I reckon you've got a hair trigger on this topic if I just start mentioning it. But I think we've had the benefit of contrast in the last 6 weeks, where a lot of people are doing what we've just done, is reflecting on how things were and how things are. And we're being forced to actually dig a little deeper into that reflection than we usually do, which is quite cursory and surface level. And we're looking at our life And a lot of people have done a bit of questioning and gone, you know what? Why were we living life like that before? And have a look at the way we're living life now. And yeah, there's a lot of restrictions that I think most of us would like to see lifted for various reasons. But I remember going to McDonald's twice a year.
Yes, me too.
And yeah, it was probably a 25, 30-minute drive to get to the nearest McDonald's. Can you imagine that, hey? Imagine having to drive half an hour to get to a Macca's. Now they're about 7 minutes apart because no one can survive more than 7 minutes without eating shit. But sorry, that was a bit judgmental, wasn't it?
Just tiny bit.
Anyway, it's Monday and I got the shits. So, but half an hour drive to go to Macca's, and that was for mine and or my brother's birthday on separate occasions. And that was a big deal. Like, that was a super treat. And I remember the ice cream cakes, which were fucking terrible.
I never had one.
But I remember the excitement levels about ice cream cakes and McChickens. So do they even have the McChicken anymore?
Yes, I'm pretty sure they do. That's Blake's favourite, so I would have to say yes. He still eats it,
the last
so I'm sure
the last time I ate McDonald's may have been more than 15 years ago. But anyway, I digress. So I think there's people starting to like some of the changes that we've been forced into making.
I don't know. In the beginning, well, actually, I was pretty quick to come on board. If I talk about my own experience, I was pretty quick to be okay with, okay, this is the way life's going to be. I'm ready for this. It's fine. I've struggled a lot with the children being of quite a sociable age. One of them's only just started going out, I suppose, on the weekends or catching up with his mates. So I found those conversations to be quite difficult. They were quite challenging, having to put restrictions on others. But for myself, I didn't have a big problem with it. And I don't think I'll have a big problem with staying that way myself as they lift. Sure, I'm really excited that my dad can finally stop being grumpy on the end of the phone and just come and have lunch and be grumpy here with us on Sunday. But I don't know that I'll change much of what we're doing right now. I'll go further for a bushwalk so I don't have to just keep walking around my block. Or I might actually go to the beach, but I'm not interested in going back to the shops. I'm not interested in shopping centres. I probably never have been anyway, so that's not a big change for me. But for others, I wonder what, for many people, I know there's a element of the community where shopping is their only sort of outside experience for a great part of their week. They'll head to the shops, they'll have a coffee, they'll do some browsing, maybe some shopping. It takes up a whole day and they come home. I wonder if they go back to that. Is that, or have they learned actually there's another way we can be entertaining ourselves, whether it be in the garden or talking to a neighbour over the fence or going for a walk around the block or doing something just a bit different. It'll be really interesting to see whether those changes stay or go.
Yeah, I guess for the good of society, I hope that we don't go back to that consumerism as entertainment bent that seemed to be emerging. It's like as you were describing it, I thought that really became our entertainment, was going to a massive shopping centre.
Yep.
Like,
for many people, it was, totally.
And whatever your persuasion is around that, I look at the social issues that may have been causing or leading to. And, yeah. Anywho. So, Coxie, do you still want to talk about, speaking of restrictions and going back to the old ways, there's a new app that's been released. Have you heard about it?
I have. You're winding me up now. You want me to just go ping?
Well, I'll throw some burley in the water.
Go on. Sharks
put
coming.
Some blood in the water. I got a text message from my mother on the weekend that was sent to both myself and my brother. Mm-hmm. And my mother's question was, will you be downloading the COVID app? And I didn't get to the phone for a bit because and I haven't told you about this, which is why I didn't talk to you at all over the weekend. But I realised that my phone and my social media use and everything else under the guise of tradies in business and staying in touch and staying on top and all that stuff had actually bled into being pretty much every waking hour.
Mm-hmm.
And and wifey started work at the hospital today in her new job. So we did decide that yesterday, Sunday, we would take a bit of a day out.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't leave our property, which was wonderful. And I was out in the paddock and I was chainsawing firewood and feeding animals and following my cows around the paddock and all that sort of stuff. But basically, I didn't see the message from my mum until a bit later, and my brother had already replied. And his answer was an emphatic yes, we will.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, I'm pretty sure he doesn't listen to the podcast, but g'day, bro, if you're listening.
Hello.
He's a lieutenant or something in the Victorian what do they call themselves there? The fire brigade. Anyway, he's in the he's in the fire brigade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Volunteer
Mm-hmm.
fire brigade in Victoria, which is a bit different to some of the other states where they actually get very, very involved in, domestic stuff and car accidents and all those sorts of things. So they're
Mm-hmm.
very heavily relied on, and he's quite high up and does training, and it's super awesome. And it was just interesting because he sort of seems to be very much towing the government sort of authority stance on things
Mm-hmm.
in response to all of this. And I looked at that and I thought, I'm not sure how to reply to this because I think my answer is probably similar to yours, Coxie. Are you going to download the app, Coxie?
Fuck no. And that's what you wanted, isn't it? No, you asked me this before we came on air and it was a massive
20 minutes to build up to that.
Fuck no. Not on your Nelly. I will not do it unless I'm absolutely left with no choice. But I am not interested in downloading an app that's only going to give me backdated information anyway. It's not like it's going to give you an immediate warning. Don't go near that person that might have come in contact with COVID. It'll tell you in 2 weeks' time when somebody finally tests positive.
So why won't you be doing your bit, Coxie?
Because the government knows enough about me already. It does not need to know where I am every minute of the day, which will be at home anyway. It's not like I'm going anywhere or doing anything. And I don't want to give them permission to use my stuff to know that much about me. No, it's a big hard no.
So I've seen a bit of, as is normally the case with this stuff, I've seen both ends of the spectrum. Actually, I wouldn't call it a spectrum because I don't think there's any in between on this. What I've seen is there's polar opposites.
Yeah, it's a very polarizing question.
It's your response, and then it's my bro's response of fuck yeah, I'm doing my bit, and anybody who doesn't is un-Australian and is going to kill people.
Okay. I'm going to be a murderer. I'm going to have to be okay with that.
But Coxie, downloading the app saves lives.
No, it doesn't. All it does is give you some retrospective information about where you may have come in contact with somebody if your phones are all pinging at once. It's bullshit. You just keep poking.
Yes, there's a bear and I'm going to poke you. But it is fascinating because I was reading the information about the app after I got my mum's message. I thought, maybe I should go actually find out what the hell this thing's all about before I let fly with my 9mm submachine gun on this one. And I went and read about it. And yeah, it's all a bit vague and it relies on technology, which we all know is absolutely flawless and never fails.
No, it's perfect.
The fact that I still have no fucking internet is a case in point. And somehow we're meant to believe all of the wonderful unicorn farts and fairy rainbow things in the government release about this app. And the fact that it will actually even work when people start downloading it en masse. I mean, we saw Queensland schools return on their first day to school from home and shut down the bloody Education Queensland website.
2 days in a row, not just
because
once,
it was
but
like,
twice.
oh, whoops. Yeah, we weren't really expecting everybody to log on.
No, of course not.
So, g'day to all the public servants listening. No public servant would listen to this podcast. If you're a public servant listening to this podcast, an
Please
actual
tell
real
us.
public servant, please send us a message, preferably not in the form of a letter bomb. But do you remember the days of letter bombs?
I do actually. That's a very funny thing for you to fall back on. I do letter bombs, and then after 9/11, there was all the white powder was turning up everywhere. Remember those ones?
Yes, anthrax.
Anthrax. That's what it was.
Anthrax powder. Even though it wasn't anthrax, it was talcum powder, which is probably just as toxic because it's got asbestos in it. We found out now.
Well, that's true.
So I could have just sent talcum powder in the mail, and now I'd be arrested and put in jail.
You would be.
My, how things change. So, look, I'm probably not any different to you, Coxie.
Look, I'm all for each for their own, and I don't have an opinion either way whether somebody else wants to do it or not. I will commit and have done. I'll take a photo of my diary for everyone. I write down when and where I go if I have to leave the house. I obviously can't say who I came in contact with, but you're going to know whether you were at the same spot at the same time. I'm not interested in downloading an app that the laws around the privacy in this haven't even been passed yet. They won't be passed until the next time Parliament sits. So, no, I won't be an early adopter. I'll only be an adopter if I'm left with no other choice. I'm quite happy to continue on the way that I am, minimise my exposure to other people. I see online shopping delivery with Woolworths is back, so I won't even go to the shops for food. I'll stay out of everyone's way and just continue to live in my little mushroom.
Well, I think the difference is that, and some of the issues in all of these things is you've made a personal choice, and where I see the problem come in is people get super judgmental and self-righteous in their own choices.
Yes.
And I've taken the drastic measure of even unfriending some people on social media.
I've done the same. This year particularly. This year more than any. There was stuff around the fires. There was stuff around the floods that happened after it. And then there's been so much stuff around the COVID thing. I've unfriended a lot of people, and that's okay.
And I've done that not because they have different views to me, because
No.
I've got some really good friends, yourself included, Coxie.
Thank you.
Well, I think I'd call you a really good friend.
Gosh, I hope so.
From all the way down here in the other country, the great
Yes.
southern land.
Overseas.
I have some really good friends who have different views to me.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's
course it is.
good. And we have great conversations about the topics that we differ on. And we don't hate each other because of that. We don't feel like we're trying to change or convert the other person. I think that diversity of beliefs and opinions is really healthy and really important. I've unfriended people who are just self-righteous pricks.
Yeah, well put.
That feel that because they have a particular view that they believe is right, that anybody who doesn't hold that view is fucked in the head and, should have all these horrible things happen to them in life.
I'm with you.
So they're no longer in my social media feed. So if you have stopped seeing my posts recently,
Sorry,
maybe that
not
was
sorry.
you.
I'm just tired of the ridiculous rants on social media about somebody else's opinion. I value your opinion. I'm talking to the listener rather than you, although I obviously value yours.
Okay.
And if it differs, that's okay. And I'm happy to learn from you and understand your point of view. I put a pretty controversial post on Facebook recently. I don't normally post personally on Facebook, but I did this one day. And I actually got an excellent opinion back that I was surprised because I hadn't thought about. I hadn't given it any credit. So now I've learnt from their opinion rather than being so pig-headed that I feel that my opinion is the only correct one. Where in fact, right now it's right for me. That might change. My opinion might change. It doesn't mean that it's right for you or for the listener or for anybody else in my circle. It's just right for me. That's my opinion on it right now.
Yeah, and I suspect some of us misinterpret a passionate fuck no to downloading the COVID app to meaning that anybody who does is
Yes.
invalidated or wrong, and that, you know, you are now their mortal enemy, Coxie. Because
No.
you said it first, so I'm just going to hide behind your skirt.
Not at all. I just think there's room for everybody's opinion. And for me, I'm not interested in doing that, but I certainly respect that others feel that it's a way to keep themselves and others safe. I have no problem with that. I welcome that. For me, it doesn't work. For me, I'm not comfortable. Emphatically uncomfortable.
No, and you know what? In all of that, I actually like the fact that I respect the fact that the Australian government has kept it voluntary.
Me too. Very much so.
I think that's taken. Well, it would have been tough for them to make it compulsory. Let's put it that way, because in this country, that might have caused an uprising.
Definitely.
But that aside, I like the fact that I live in a country, including Tasmania, where we're not forced to install some software on our phone to be tracked and know who else I've come into contact with. I like that I don't live in a country that forces people to do that shit.
I think we're very blessed. I'd just like to see others remember how blessed we are, and this is very general, and some more respect around other people's feelings and opinions.
And choices. That's part of the country we live in, is that it's freedom of choice.
Yes.
Freedom of speech. You know, that you and I can make this podcast and say, no fucking way are we downloading a government app that's going to track your movements and your contacts. And, you know, it's not about conspiracy theories or anything, but these are fundamental freedoms that if you let it be taken away in one area, it seeps into other areas.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, we've seen that over the last 50 years or so. With digital security and online information, you know, there's stories that come out where all this information accidentally got made available. It's like, do you think that was the only time that happened?
Yeah, exactly.
And what about all the times they don't tell you about that happened deliberately?
Precisely.
So, anyway, conspiracy theories aside, what do you think about the COVID app, gang? Well, are you going to download it? We should do a poll, Coxie. That wouldn't fire up the Facebook page at all, would it?
That'd be interesting, as long as they can keep it respectful. I'm keen to know.
And that's what I really want to say on this, and then I'll let you have your say again, is, you know what? Let's celebrate our different opinions without crucifying or, what's the other thing? Witch hunting the people who differ to us. You know, I mean, you name it, whether it's nutrition, vaccinations, religion, sport, you know, beliefs about speeding or not. Like, I just see some awful exchanges online because people can't accept that someone else might have a different view based on their experiences. And I think we should actually be celebrating that, because it's one of the fundamentals of being an Australian and having that freedom of choice. So, but we do want to know what you think. You're going to download it. Coxie's going to put a poll up, so it's got her name on it and not mine, in case the government tracks us down and ASIO come and lock you up. Do ASIO actually have any power in this country?
On the chin. I don't know. I'm sure they'd find a way to persecute you.
So if the podcast disappears in the next 48 hours, you know what's happened. Well, what happened to Coxie and Waz? Yeah. Trading in business with Warwick.
That's funny.
It just doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
No, it needs the second syllable or two.
It needs the Nicole.
It does. I think it does. You
anyway,
let us know whether you think it needs the Nicole or not. There you are. There's a polarising question, if ever I heard one.
Yeah. Who do you vote for, Waz or Nic? But no, COVID app. Are you going to download it? Go to the Facebook page thingy, if it's still there, and Tell us what you think and keep it nice, team. Keep it nice.
Don't be a dick.
Let's be Australian. If you're a dick, Coxie's going to ban you.
I will. There's been
Simple
a
as
few in
that.
the last couple of weeks. But that's the truth, right? That's what I'd like to leave you all with. Don't be a dick. Respect other people's opinions. Be okay that other people differ to the way you think, feel, or choose. Let's all get along. There's no reason why we can't.
That's all. Just be friends.
Well, we don't have to go that far.
Oh, okay. So you're not going to refriend me on Facebook then?
No, you're my friend. Okay, I'll refriend you.
Thanks for listening, team. Have a fantastic Monday, and we'll be back tomorrow. Real tradie story tomorrow.
Yes,
Get ready for that one.
cracker.
Yeah.
Have a good Monday.
You've been listening to the Tradies in Business podcast with Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.